r/Nosleep. Posted by u/Matt Gamara. Alt 3. I am a security guard in the ruins of an Inca Fortress, Day 8 Part 1. Day 8, Part 1. I knocked the door wearing old, dirty clothing. It still had the horrible smell of his previous owner. My face was covered in bruises, and half of Samir's face was ripped. He was by my side. Hector opened his house's door and looked at us. He was wearing pajamas and had a cigarette in his mouth. We stared at each other for almost 1 minute. "So, what do we do?" I asked. He seemed as scared as we were. Come in, please." He let us enter his house, and led us to his dining table. I could hear his wife and children snoring inside the other rooms. "So, where is Victoria?" Hector asked, as he served cocoa-tea to us. "She's gone," Samir said, with a bit of melancholy in his voice. "Fuck. How did that happen? She disobeyed the rules?" Hector asked, clearly worried. "No. A giant miner came out of the safe room and killed her with a pickaxe," Samir answered. "Oh God. The safe room stopped working? Damn, and this is my first day as a supervisor." "Hector, what do we do? Please, tell us the Foundation knows how to stop that demon. Maybe the paper I gave you had instructions? Please." I pleaded to him. "No. The Inquisition couldn't find a way to get rid of the Supay evil. So they only left. I'm afraid there's no known way to get rid of him," Hector answered. "Maybe there's some kind of ancient Inca ritual? He'll kill us all, Hector," Samir said. "Actually, there may be. There is a very old woman in the city's nursing home. In my childhood they said she had mystical powers. But she's over 90 years old. I don't know if she will be helpful," he said. "Are they open at night? We can go there," Samir said. "Yes, and please, tell me he's with you." Hector pointed to a person who was watching us from the window. It was just a silhouette, hidden by the curtains. "No. He's not," I said, and then noticed a familiar sound. My car has a minor problem in one of its tires, and that problem is responsible for producing a weird sound whenever my car speeds around 120 km/h. And then I remembered I abandoned my car on the road. "Isn't that speed too fast for this small town?" Samir asked. "Yes," Hector said. Suddenly, my car somehow crashed into the house, and I fell to the floor. I got up as fast as I could, even with some bruises and my eyesight a bit blurry. "Oh, hello, am I late to the party?" the silhouette said as he entered the house, slowly assuming the form of Supay. Behind him, on the street, I could see dozens of stalkers coming in our direction. Maybe even 50. "Honey, what's happening?" Hector's wife shouted, as she left her room a bit sleepy. A huge tentacle emerged out of Supay's back and grabbed her by the neck. "No!" Hector shouted. He was stuck under one of my car's wheels. I could also hear children crying. I assumed they were his kids, but I didn't saw them. "Oh, do you need me to call your mommy, Hector?" Supay said. Suddenly, he had the face of an old woman. "Supay. Release her. It's me that you want," I shouted. "Are you nuts, Javier? He'll kill you," Samir said. He was on the other side of the room, and seemed to have a broken leg. Supay released the woman and looked at me with his black, dead eyes. "Let's make a new deal, son. I will stop my violence, but in exchange, you will bring 3 souls for me per lunar cycle." "Maybe. That is the deal, Javier. You do it or you die. It's your choice." Suddenly, Supay stumbled, but managed to remain standing. He had been shot twice in the head. By Hector. "I will hold him. Run away, folks," Hector shouted, with a revolver in his hand. I did what he said, and ran away as fast as I could, hearing Hector's screams of agony and pain. I entered Samir's car. There was a huge line of stalkers on the way. I had no option but to risk myself. The street had only one way out. I accelerated the car and went through the hordes of stalkers. Some of them started climbing the car's roof, others were punching the windows and trying to break the frontal glass. I just closed my eyes and carried on. I wish they were all gone. I wished I never took this job. I wish my wife never went into that school bus. And carried on. I opened my eyes again. The stalkers were still surrounding my car, slowing it down more and more, their hands starting to shatter the car structures. But I carried on. One of their absurdly sharp fingernails scarred my cheek, but I carried on. Eventually, the car regained its speed, and I accelerated out of that horde of stalkers. They were incredibly strong, and one of them even managed to hold my car for a few seconds, but I got myself free. I knew where the old people shelter was. I just needed to get there. The only remaining mirror of the car showed the stalkers were running after me. After some 15 minutes I arrived at the nursing home. I thought none of the stalkers were well behind, and none of them was still holding to the car. Oh, how wrong I was. The exact moment I left my car, one stalker came out of the trunk and ran in my direction. I bursted into the nursing home and barred the glass door with a nearby wardrobe. "Are you insane?" the receptionist said. "I hope not. Can't you see that thing?" I shouted, as I pointed to the stalker, who was throwing himself at the door. "What?" she asked, confused and probably scared. "Where's the old woman?" "The oldest?" "Sir, you're invading this establishment. I can't let you talk to Mistress Garuda. I'll have to call the police." She was suddenly grabbed by two stalkers' hands that emerged from a window behind her and pulled outside. I wasted no more time. I ran through the place's corridors until I found Garuda's bedroom. All doors had the name of their inhabitants, so it wasn't very difficult. "Mistress Garuda?" I said. She was sleeping, so I kind of woke her up. "Oh. What's happening?" she asked, still in her bed. "I need your help," I said as I locked the door and threw a random table of the room in front of it. Luckily there were no windows inside. "How can I help you? I can't even move my legs anymore," the old woman said. I walked to the side of her bed, hearing that thing trying to break the door. "Listen, a friend of mine said you have mystical powers. I need your help. Supay released himself out of the Inca Fortress. Do you know any way to stop him? Please, he's already here," I said as the scratching on the door became even more intense. "I never had mystical powers. I just have a few advantages. That's why I'm still alive after 110 years. "Which advantages?" I asked. The scratching was replaced by heavy punches. "My grandfather. He was not a common man. He was the Sumaipa's mountain Apu. Probably still alive. You said Supay is coming from the Inca Fortress. If that's happening, it's because my grandfather allowed him to use his mountain. I assume you don't know much of Inca mythology, right?" "Actually, not. I'm not from here." "Yes. I could feel it. You are from the lands of the Guaranis." Suddenly the punches on the door stopped. This made me even more tense. Please, explain the mythology to me. I need your help." I heard the creature going away from the door. It was certainly planning something. "Each mountain has their own Apu, a ruler of the mountain. See, in Inca mythology, the mountain's caves were portals to other realms. The only way for Supay to leak to this realm is through a portal. And he can only use a portal if the mountain's Apu lets him do it." It sounded like insane gibberish for me, but my situation was far from sans. "Please, tell me. How do I convince your grandfather to stop Supay? How do I find your grandfather?" I implored. I heard a weird noise, and looked back. A weird, black liquid was infiltrating the room from under the door. "The only way to contact him is if you enter his cave and call him. His name is Yupanqui Taco. He used to live in one of the waterfalls of Las Cuevas. But if Supay is after you, you'll never make it there." "How did you enrage him so much?" "I didn't do very much. He thought I was going to betray him, but I wasn't going to. It didn't stop him from snapping and killing everyone he saw. Long time he doesn't do that." "Well, see you in Hanan Pasha. I'll go back to my sleep now." She closed her eyes and turned to the other side. I took a deep breath, removed the table, opened the door, and bursted out of the room. In front of me was one of the hooded persons I'd seen a few days before. He had a pitchfork in his hands. And he was going to attack me with it, aiming for my head. I used one of my hands to stop it. I never screamed so much in my life. One of my fingers fell to the floor, and there were now 3 bleeding holes in my hand. I pushed the monster away and ran to the building's entrance. However, the entrance was already surrounded by stalkers. I looked over the place, not finding another door to escape. But I found something else. The window that the first stalker used to pull the secretary away, it was open. I used the secretary's table and jumped through it, falling in a dark and dirty alleyway. However, there was a bicycle there. I mounted on it and started riding away from the place through the alleyways,